I want to start with, I have a rant. I have a bone to pick with people, the discourse of the NBA discourse. And I want to make it clear that the person who asked this question is not who it's aimed at because they phrased it very respectfully. But Santiago, which is at Santi Sauce, which is a pretty good handle, asks if the Suns win it this year, which playoff year would be easier? 2019 Raptors against injured Warriors, 2020 bubble with Lakers winning it all, 2021 Suns with playing injured teams this whole playoffs. No hate to any, just an honest question. So I want to make it clear, Santiago is not the one I'm targeting here, but I saw some of the discussion after Suns Clippers game 4 that people were talking about how the NBA gods, the basketball gods, fate wanted the Bucks and the Suns to get to the finals because of the fortuitous playoff paths that they've had. I would just like to say, with all due respect, and pardon my French, shut the fuck up. This postseason, this entire year, everyone has dealt with shit. I don't care, and I'm probably going to curse a bunch, so I apologize in advance. I was trying to watch my language more on the podcast, but every team went through stuff. See, there we go. The censored version this year. Yes, the Bucks were healthier than most. This was still a truncated schedule for everyone. The second half was tough for a lot of teams. They still had to go up against a Nets team that had Kevin Durant and took them to 7 games and would have actually beaten them if Kevin Durant had a normal human-sized foot. You're discrediting the Nets by saying that. I know James Harden wasn't fully healthy. I know Kyrie Irving missed a bunch of time in that series. You play the teams that are in front of you, and that's all you can do. And the other thing is, are we just going to neglect the fact that the Suns didn't have Chris Paul for the first 3 games of this series, or 2 games, excuse me, or does that not matter? Or that he came out and took a collective shit all over the court in his first game back because, hey, guess what? He hadn't played basketball in basically a month. And even watching him in game 4, he looked better, but he still doesn't have like his same feel for the game left. Like, yeah, the passing, but we have another question that we'll get to after this just because it's topical about the pace of play with CP3 on the court. But they didn't have him. Devin Booker broke his fucking nose, and he hasn't been playing well, hasn't been shooting the same since. He had to take off his mask in the middle of game 4 because he's been fidgeting with it so much. Every team is dealing with things. Yes, the Clippers lost Kawhi. Yes, the Lakers were banged up. Anthony Davis is always injured. That's part of the calculus with Anthony Davis. Yeah, it's weird that LeBron James was injured. LeBron James is also age 36. Like, you can't necessarily count him to be fully healthy all the time. The Jazz, they didn't have Mike Conley. What happens in that series? Donovan Mitchell was playing on 1.5 ankles. We don't have to do this dumbass talk after everything that's happened. You know, Philly, if they had different players, Joel Embiid was playing on a partially torn meniscus, but if they had a different, player that was Ben Simmons who actually cared about taking shots and not passing up wide open dunks, there are caveats to every team, obstacles for every team. Let's not do this. And the thing that really blows my mind is the rings discourse is, oh, player X isn't great. Actually, Chris Paul isn't great because he doesn't have a ring or he's somehow a failure. Now Chris Paul might get a ring, and it was too fucking easy. I am so fed up. I know that social media can't be the place for nuance, especially on Twitter where you have 280 characters. Thread it, or at least be fucking smarter, because this is dumb. This is stupid. It's inane. I can't, I run brand accounts, so I'm on Twitter all the time. I'm just not putting as much stuff in my own personal things because there's just so much dumbassery on the timeline right now. Like, are we really doing this? And the bubble, and this isn't, again, a shot at Santiago, I don't know that it was easy. I mean, they were sequestered and there was a pandemic going on. They were probably worried about the safety of their friends and family outside the bubble. So I don't, and look, the Raptors, to think that playoff run was easy, by the way, I definitely, if I picked one, which I'm not going to, I get, like, if you had to pick one, I don't even know what I'd pick. It wouldn't be the Raptors, though. I'm going to tell you right now, just because that series against Philly, Milwaukee was that was a good team. And it looked like, the Raptors had to seize control of that series, and the Warriors were still the Warriors. I know that Kevin Durant was injured, but and that Klay Thompson got hurt later on in the series, but Klay Thompson was still in that series. Steph exists. Draymond Green exists. I can't with that. And last time I'm going to say this, not a shot at Santiago. I almost went off on Twitter on Saturday night because of those takes about the Suns and the Bucks. no, it wasn't easy to get here. Yes, Milwaukee's been healthier than most. They don't have Dante DiVincenzo. They've also been shooting bricks from threes more often than not. And I think you could argue that their coach, Mike Budenholzer, despite making really good adjustments in game 2, is a roadblock unto himself. Every team is dealing with shit. Let's stop acting like winning an NBA title is going to be easier for certain teams in any given year. Injuries are part of the calculus, and especially this season, and even last season, I'm not going to discredit any teams that accomplished anything because the context, the circumstances under which they came were just so unprecedented because of what we were dealing with. So everyone who is thinking that the Suns are having this easy road to the finals, that the Bucks are having this super easy road to the finals, I implore you, I beg you, as I started at the top of this, shut the fuck up. That was my rant. I'm like sweating because it made me so angry.
At 9:17 a.m. Mountain Time, I got a text from Dan that said, I have another rant I'd like to go on today. I was just like, I'm going to greenlight that without even knowing what it is, just because I like hearing Dan get so worked up about this stuff. I honestly thought it was going to be about the recent coaching hires and the NBA kind of like saying one thing about valuing and, you know, wanting women to feel included in the league and all that, and then going an entirely different direction with these recent hires. You know, like using Becky Hammon as like a smokescreen to make the Chauncey Billups hire more palatable, or like the Mavericks organization that has had toxic workplace culture and sexual harassment issues hiring Jason fucking Kidd. So that's where I thought you were going with this. But the funny part is when I saw
really
this
quickly,
question,
I didn't want to add to the male caucasity of the Chauncey Billups hire. And I think you retweeted it, and you're probably going to get into it. So I'll let you speak. But like the Blazers Edge published a great article where women wrote about it. And my
really
two
fantastic.
Words, three words. Listen to women. Just on this. Just listen to women on this. I'm sorry, but please continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No. I was just going to say, like, the question that prompted your rant at the top of the episode, I had the exact same planned response, albeit with a little bit less passion. I was more just going to respond like, my automatic answer to any question like that is, can you please point to one team in NBA history that has not benefited from some sort of luck on the way to an NBA title? It is inherent to the process. Part of winning a championship is being lucky. It's getting a little bit fortunate with not having injuries on your own team, with having injuries to other teams, with having fortuitous matchups. You play who's in front of you and you beat who's in front of you. And that's all you can control. So like that's just my automatic go-to response with this topic every single time. So I think we have like the exact same points, just mine is a little bit shorter.